Welcome to the Well-Equipped Wanderer, working title. Today I wanted to talk about some of the books that I use to play solo Mothership. There's a lot of different supplements out there that can make Mothership very easy to run solo, although I feel like there aren't very many videos on this topic on YouTube, so I wanted to make one. So I figured what I'd do first of all is go through the materials that I use to run my solo Mothership sessions. I've noticed that there's not very much solo material on YouTube regarding Mothership. There are a few solo playthroughs. Most of them are for the 1000 Empty Light solo module by Alfred Valley, which is very good, but it's probably the only solo-focused module that I'm aware of for Mothership. But there's more out there, and there's more opportunity to play Mothership solo than just this book, and so I wanted to highlight what I use to do my solo sessions. Okay, so first of all, obviously the first book that you need for any solo session of Mothership is the rulebook. I printed it out because I prefer to have a physical copy of the rulebook available to me so I can flip to the page that I'm looking for. PDFs are obviously very convenient, but I don't like scrolling if I can help it. I still have my tablet that I use when I'm doing solo sessions, but I prefer to have a lot of these materials printed out so that I can flip through, and so the rulebook I printed out. It's not that many pages, so it's not that hard to print it out, and I have a spiral binder to make it easier to flip through pages. It looks like the actual rulebook is only about 44 pages long, which includes a character sheet in the back. So this is quite important to have available to you. The idea being that once you get comfortable playing Mothership, you won't have to be flipping through to remember rules. And actually, the rules for Mothership are relatively simple, but there are some tables inside this book that are good for example, panic checks. This is the panic table. It tells you what happens if you panic. I also actually have, these are available from the Tuesday Night Games website for Mothership. This is kind of like a GM screen. It has all of the tables that you might need to play a session of Mothership, so I also recommend these along with the rulebook. And I have those set up in front of me so that I can reference them whenever I need to know when to make a panic check, what happens when there's a panic check. There's also a table for puzzle components, so if you're running like a generative, procedural solo session, then there are tables that you can roll on to figure out what kind of puzzle you might be encountering in a given room. But obviously the rulebook is an important one to have. And then building off of that, Mothership actually has a really good app, which there's a free version of it, but the upgraded version where you can buy the additional character sheets as well as the Shipbreaker's Toolkit, those come in very handy. I try not to use too much technology when I'm doing a solo RPG session, but it's really nice to have this app available. I specifically use it for the character sheets because it makes it very easy to keep track of what the character is doing, how much health is left, how much stress the character has taken, all of that stuff. The equipment is listed in here. There's a space for notes so you can remember what has been happening to the character throughout your multiple sessions of solo play. It's just really nice to have. There actually is a dice rolling app within this Mothership app. It's all very useful, so I recommend this Mothership app. And then the next thing that I recommend to play any solo Mothership game is the module called A Pound of Flesh, which is by Sean McCoy, as well as several other big names in the tabletop RPG industry. This is one of the first modules that was released, I believe, for Mothership. I think that I have the version that was released with the original edition of Mothership, which I think they call Zero Edition. We're on first edition now. I'm not sure that any of this would change with the first edition release, but this is just a really good setting book for getting your characters set up and getting some inspiration as to what they're doing. This whole book has procedure for going through and renting a room. There's a dry dock for when you are parking your ship. The whole book is about a space station that can sort of act as a base of operations for characters. There's a whole lot else going on as well within the space station, but you can do as much or as little of that as you want. I actually haven't really spent too much time exploring the space station itself, but I've used the system that they have here as kind of like a base of operations for my characters to go out and do other things in nearby space. Next we have up Dead Planet. This book is absolutely crucial for any solo roleplayer's foray into Mothership. Picture your crew out exploring the vast dark of space and picking up a distress beacon from a distant vessel. After a discussion, the crew decides to set course for the distressed ship. Attempts to make radio contact are unsuccessful. Finally, they arrive at the source of the distress beacon, a massive cargo ship floating, dark, silent, and seemingly abandoned. They decide to dock and board. They step out into the glow of red emergency lights. The ship's life support systems are still functional, but there's a tang to the air like a recent fire somewhere nearby. A distant scream, the crunch of smashed metal, the chitter of alien feet moving closer. If this is the type of scenario that you want to set up for your characters, then Dead Planet is the answer. The Gorgon's Crown. A derelict mining vessel adrift in space, loaded with valuable cargo but carrying a terrible secret. Only the bravest, most foolhardy scavenger would dare board this haunted ship. Largo Hansen, veteran Marine old enough to remember a time before the Corpo Empire. Noemi Plummer, idealistic researcher searching for the spirits in the wires. Picking up where I left off my current Mothership solo campaign, I've got 2 player characters with the potential to add more. The first one is Largo Hansen, who's kind of the captain of the group. He's a veteran Marine. He has plus 10 athletics, plus 15 firearms, and plus 10 military training. He's got a scalpel and a crowbar, and he also picked up a rifle, I believe, while we were exploring this ship. And then his companion is Noemi Plummer. She's a scientist. She's got plus 10 in computers, plus 15 in ecology, plus 10 in geology, and plus 20 in planetology. And so they're currently exploring the derelict vessel called the Gorgon's Crown. They were sent there by an NPC that they met on Prospero's Dream, which is the space station from A Pound of Flesh. And Largo was trying to get a better deal on cyber enhancements, and he cut a deal where if he went and recovered some cargo from the Gorgon's Crown, then he could get a discount on the enhancement that he's trying to buy. And he's definitely getting more than he bargained for on this abandoned derelict ship. So as you can see, I've used the derelict mapping system from Dead Planet, which is right here, to draw out the floor plan of the Gorgon's Crown. We have 3 floors, getting progressively smaller as we go. I'm still looking for the lift or the stairs to go to the next floor. Largo and Noemi have explored 7 rooms so far, and we're rolling on the derelict ship module generator table every time we enter a new room to see what we get. We just explored room 7, so let's move on to room 8. I'm gonna roll, looks actually just a d10. We have a 5 for this room, so we just need to roll a d10. We got a 4. So you go to 5, go down to 4. It's a cargo hold. Most of the, well, all of the options for 5 rooms are cargo holds. Although there's a few different options you can get within that. So this one says cargo hold, roll on cargo table on page 9. So flipping back, the cargo table on page 9 is a D100. Deciding what your cargo type is. So we'll roll on this table. We got a 4. So the cargo in this room is wine. Largo walks in and says, "What's all this?" We got crates and crates of something. What is this, booze? Lemmy says, keep your mind on the mission. Don't even think about trying to get into that stuff while we're still exploring this ship. We've got enough problems on our hands as it is. Largo says, "Yeah, you're right." And so I don't see any reason why they would be messing with the wine that they found on this ship at the moment. Maybe when they're leaving, they could grab some on the way by, but I don't think they're that interested in it. They're definitely here for more important things. The other thing that I've been doing is rolling on a random encounter table every room to see if something strange happens. Actually don't know where I got this from, but I could put the link to this table, whoever created it, in the description. Alright, so there it is. It's a D20. You roll 1 D20 and then see what happens on the exploration. You got a 10. So 8 to 10 on this table is a setback. So we will... I think that we will roll on our solo adventure tables to figure out what sort of setback we're dealing with here. There's gotta be one here. Okay, so there's a D66 twist table, so that might be good. We've also got plot twist table, resource shortages table, space anomalies, system malfunction. So I'm actually not sure which of these setbacks might be appropriate here. So let's use the Oracle for this. And I've been using the Oracle that's in this book as well. Let me find it. Clues, NPCs. The yes, no Oracle. So this one is just a simple D6. So let me grab that. And so the question is this a system malfunction? There's no but. So you can probably safely interpret that as not directly a system malfunction, but whatever bad just happened will also result in some kind of system issue as well. So let's say that it's... Let's roll on the plot twist table. I think that makes the most sense for the situation. Got a 1. memory wipe syndrome. Okay, so I think what's happening here is throughout their exploration of this ship so far, Largo and Noemi have been encountering increasingly terrifying issues involving the computer system on board the ship. And it's getting to the point now where these technical issues are manifesting in terms of actual effects on the two of them, and mentally and psychologically. So, I'm interpreting this memory wipe syndrome as being basically amnesia that's brought on by their exposure to these unknown powers that are in existence inside of the computer system on this ship. And so I think that probably warrants a panic check. And so to roll a panic check, you roll a d20 and you see if you can roll over your current stress level. Looks like Largo's at 6 stress right now and Noemi's at 7. So there's a non-zero chance that they're going to panic. And I'm going to roll for both of them. So actually, let me get the blue die for Largo and the green one for Noemi. Alright, so I actually don't know if you have to beat your stress, because Noemi just rolled a 7, which is what her stress is currently at. So let's look at the rulebook and check. Panic check. When to make a panic check. Roll a panic die and attempt to roll greater than your current stress. If you roll less than or equal to your current stress, you fail. Look up your result on the panic table. So Noemi just failed her panic test, which she was panicking because both of them were stricken by temporary amnesia. And so now you roll another d20 on the panic table to see what happens. So she got an 8. Loss of confidence, lose 1 skills bonus. Okay, so for Noemi, well, she's got 4 skill bonuses, and so I think we'll just roll a d4 to see which one is the one that she loses. So 1. She had a +10 in computers, so that's gone. I don't want to remove it permanently. I assume that she can recover that at some point if she gets healed or rests or gets some therapy. But there's nothing else of interest in this room other than just crates and crates of wine from who knows where. Gonna continue moving through Gorgon's Crown to see if we can find what we're looking for before we completely lose our minds. And so, continuing moving up. This is a 1 room. So we got a roll on that chart again from Dead Planet. Looking for a D10. It's a 4. This is the life support room. It says repairable. It appears to still be functioning, although apparently it might be not functioning at 100%. And so the question is whether Largo and Noemi want to mess around with anything that's in this room or not. Let's also roll on one of these spark tables to see if there's anything else interesting happening in this room. So we've got a verb list and a noun list for oracle and random events on a ship. So let's do 2d100 rolls to see if there's anything happening in this room. First for the verb, 52, so configure. And then noun list, 27, transmitter. So we can consult the oracle again to figure out exactly what we're dealing with here. When it says configure transmitter, does that mean that so I think what we're dealing with here is some kind of a computer terminal in this room with a life support system. Maybe this could answer the reason why there's nobody apparently living on this ship anymore. Some kind of malfunction with the life support system, and maybe the terminal here has an answer for us. And so, before we do anything else, I'm going to roll on our exploration table again to see exactly what we might be dealing with, if anything. So roll our d20. Got a 17 this time. So it's free, no additional effect this turn. Negative temporary effects also end. Alright, so the question is whether we have a clue as to what's happening in this room. We have a clue dice outcome table that we can roll on. It says when to roll the clue dice after a significant encounter at key story points or during exploration. So I think that this is quite obviously a situation where we'd be rolling the clue dice to see if we find something. It's just a normal d6. Roll a 1. That gives us a roll on the random secret discovery table. So we roll a d12 on that to see if anything happens. 6. Temporal echoes warning. And so we have a lot of somewhat esoteric sparks going on in this room, just adding to the mystery of what these characters are dealing with. So obviously Noemi is gonna walk over to the terminal and try to figure out what exactly is going on here. I've actually got these minis that I use to signify Largo and Noemi. Not exactly how I picture them, but close enough. And I've got this little computer terminal, so Largo's gonna stay back. Noemi's gonna walk over to the terminal, and she's going to attempt to log into the terminal and see if she can figure out what was going on in this room, since it seems to be the source of whatever happened to the crew. Normally she'd be getting a +10 for computers, but she lost that because she lost her confidence, so we're gonna be just rolling against her 51 intellect, and so we have to roll below in order to see if she succeeds. So roll a d100. 67, and she fails. So she takes a stress because of a failed check, I believe. There is actually on this GM screen that they have here a list of things that happen when you fail a stat check. In the rulebook it says you gain 1 stress every time you fail a stat check or save. So Noemi goes from 7 to 8. And so when you fail one of your stat checks, it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't succeed in the thing you're trying to do, but there is always a complication that is associated with it if you fail. So a failure can include action succeeds but costs more time or resources, or it causes harm, or leaves the player at a tactical disadvantage, or the situation gets much worse. And so roll a d6 and pick which one of those happens in this case. So 2, action succeeds but causes harm. So she logs into that computer and she figures out that the people on this ship were trying to send out some sort of distress signal. It's not clear what they were distressed about, but it's obvious that there was an attempt made through the computer system to signal nearby ships or rescue teams or something, but apparently it failed because it seems like nobody got out alive. But we rolled earlier the configure transmitter and also temporal echoes warning, which I think that is just an indication additionally of this spirit or this malevolent presence inside of the computer system on this ship, and it's affecting Noemi again. She chose again to try to log onto a computer, which doesn't seem like the smartest decision. And so the action succeeds but causes harm. We'll say she has to make a fear save because she's just so stressed out from whatever this is that she keeps encountering on this ship. And her fear save is not that good. For saves, you roll again a d100 and try to roll below what your save value is. Her fear save is 20. She got a 26. Oh, that's a fail. It was closer than it could have been, but still a fail. And so when you fail a save, yet again, you gain another stress. So she's up to 9 stress. Things are not going well for her. She's already panicked once, and her stress is continuing to go up. So, as we can see, things can quickly go from bad to worse in Mothership, especially when you only have a crew of 2. It probably helps to have a larger crew, but when I'm playing solo, I tend to think that 2 is the most manageable amount, so that's what I have been going with on this. Of course, if they meet an NPC who wants to join the group or something, then that's a possibility, but I think we'll end it here with Noemi slowly losing her sanity as she continues to try to figure out what's wrong with the computer system on this ship. I'm not entirely sure why she's so driven by that, but it is in her nature to try to investigate, and Largo's a lot more focused on just trying to get the cargo and get out. But we will end it there and pick it up at some other point, maybe continue this campaign in a future episode, or else maybe start another one from the beginning and do the whole process from session 0, if you want to call it that, creating a character and all that kind of stuff. Let me know in the comments if you have any interest in seeing that, or if you have interest in seeing the continued adventures of Largo and Noemi. But thanks for watching.